Hey, what's going on? Welcome to today's mobility flow. Today we're going to be focusing on mobilizing the hips from a standing position. So we're going to hop right into it. Go ahead and find yourself a base of support just in case. We're going to start warming up those hips. First and foremost, you're going to plant one leg and bring one leg out to the side as far as you can. Now what we're going to do is start a forward circle as large as we can with it being completely controlled. Once you get to 5, we're going to reverse that motion. Then we're going to switch legs. Go right over here. Much more difficult without the base of support. Ooh, I'm gonna grab onto something for quality. Ooh, these things are already warm. Now we're gonna warm up the front and the back of our legs. The back being the hamstrings, the front being the quadriceps. Grab onto a base of support. We're gonna start by firing up the hamstrings by driving the knee back as far as you can, and then driving the heel to your butt. That being said, you probably will cramp. That's completely okay. So we're gonna start with that contraction, squeeze for 2 seconds, and then you're gonna reverse that motion and kick the leg forward and squeeze the front of the leg for 2 seconds. And start. Squeeze, reverse, squeeze. Heel to butt, thigh back. Thigh comes forward, toes to the sky. We're gonna be doing this for a total of 10. The harder you squeeze, the better. If you cramp, to shake it out, it's no big deal. Cramps typically go away the more you do this. Building that mind-body connection is very important, and doing isometrics, well, I guess body weight contractions like this, helps tremendously. Last one. Now we're gonna do the other leg here. I'm gonna drive that leg back, squeeze, heel to butt, and reverse. Total of 10. Don't mind my cringy faces. I'm squeezing as hard as I can. Couple more. Awesome. Now that our legs are nice and warm, we're just going to add some simple stretches into this routine. First, we're going to start off with the quad stretch. The quad stretch, you're going to grab the back of your foot here, bring it up to your butt by driving your thigh backwards, and then bring it to your butt. You should feel a deep stretch in the front of your leg. We're going to hold this for about 30 seconds. To get more out of this, what you're going to do is drive that thigh backwards and then squeeze your hamstrings by bringing your heel to your butt. Awesome. Now we're going to switch sides. Same idea. We're going to drive the thigh backwards, squeezing the hamstring, and also bringing that heel closer to the butt. Feeling a nice line of tension through the front of the leg. Now, if you're somebody that's having issues with this position, like let's say you have a knee replacement or your just legs don't simply bend as well as you're seeing here, that's okay. You can just bring the stretch down and really focus on that thigh going backwards and just hold this position like so. Beautiful. Now we're going to be going into the simple toe touch. I'm sure everyone knows how to do it, but I'm going to show you a couple tweaks to really unlock those hamstrings. So you're going to find a nice position where you feel comfortable, soft knee bend at first. And what I want you to do is you're going to kick your butt back as far as you can. Notice how my chest starts to mirror the floor and I start to hinge deeper and deeper. This is how we load the hamstrings. So this is the first step. Being in this position is how we're going to get a lot of tension through the hamstrings. Now what I want you to do is think about this motion here. We're bringing our legs upwards, but in a planted position, trying to do that move puts us more into that hinge pattern. Once again, adding more tension to the hamstrings. So while doing our toe touch for 30 seconds, I want you to think about reaching for the floor, pulling with those hips, and feeling that deep stretch. If you're somebody that's dealing with issues with this forward fold, you can find a position. Let me grab a chair here. You can grab a chair just like so, hinge into that position so you have that support, and then you can lock those legs in and out. We call this elephant walks. And as you build tolerance, you can get lower, like so. But if you can do the forward fold, I would prefer you to do that. So let's hop right into it. Soft knee bend, butt back, pulling my hips upwards, reaching as far as we can, actively being in this stretch. Making sure we're actively reaching the whole time. The stretch should be not unbearable, but you should be really challenging yourself. Almost there. And relax. While I'm in that position, my hamstrings are shaking because I'm actively trying to be in this position. So if you're shaking, it's to be expected, okay? Moving on to the leg extension, well, standing leg extension. So the standing leg extension, once again, you're going to need some type of support. We are going to lift our knee as high as we can, and then we're going to extend as much as we can. You're gonna feel a deep stretch in the back of the leg, and you're gonna feel a tight contraction in the front of the leg. Now, if you can't get into this position here, what you can just work on is bent knee raises, or you can just do a hybrid where you're just not as high as what you see in the video. So we're gonna do 6 on each side, nice and slow. Once you finish, switch sides. Now for you all that's looking for additional balance training, just don't use the base of support. Trust me, your balance will be challenged. You'll notice that if you're struggling with height, if you hold on to something, you can get higher in your movement. The reason why is the body can express more force when it's in a stable position. So by adding stability, we can unlock more range of motion and strength. One more for good measure. Oof, that's killer. Whew. Now we're going to be going into a similar exercise. It's kind of like the second half of this exercise, if you will. They're called hip cars. So with hip cars, I want you to think about them as a hip circle, just with a little more or a couple extra steps. So for a hip car being controlled articular rotation, you're gonna find your base of support once again. You're gonna lift your leg as high as you can. You're going to kick the leg out, keeping that height, and then you're going to rotate the hip all the way back. Now, the height is dependent on you. If you just want to keep it here, that's fine. Just as long as you're challenging yourself in a safe way. If you feel like that's too much rotation for you right now, just simply turn it into a circumduction exercise like so. Just working on those big circles like we did in the beginning of the exercise. Okay, so with the cars, they're very slow, they're very deliberate. We're only going to do 3 to make sure that the quality is there. So, up, out, rotate, and then wrap back around. Now at first, like as you see, it's been a while since I did this. Your hips are going to move with you. You're gonna contort a little bit, that's fine. Just as long as it doesn't feel like it's unstable or not safe to perform. Ooh. Last one. Cool. My hips are already cooked. I don't know about y'all. So now we're switching sides here. Oof. Oh, I know I said 3, but I'm gonna do 1 more for good measure. Ooh. Oh, my hips are cooked. All right, now that we have the hips ability to rotate pretty much warmed up and ready to go, now we're gonna integrate it back into our daily fundamental movements that we see throughout the day, which would be our squats and our hinges. So the first thing that we're gonna be working on is the squat. If you can't get into a full squat, just get into the range of motion that you're comfortable with, even if it's just a hold into this position. So once again, you have 2 options. 1, just hold the deepest position that you're willing to hold that feels comfortable to you, or you can turn that limited range of motion squat into multiple repetitions. Remember that if you have a wider stance, toes out, it typically is better for those who are dealing with some knee issues. If you're dealing with a high hip injury or high hip discomfort, maybe bringing your feet in a little bit more can take some pressure off those hips as well. So just a couple things to play around with. So we're going to be doing a slow set of 10. So we're going down for 2 seconds, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, hold, 1, 2, up, 1, 2. Just like that for a set of 10, okay? So we're just gonna come down for that second rep, hold, up. Awesome. You can use that technique that we're using in the fold by pulling your hips upwards in this position to really groove the squat. So it's kind of like pulling up in the squat, holding that deep position that you can handle, and then coming up. Last one. Awesome. Okay. The last exercise of the routine is going to be a body weight hinge. If you cannot do the hinge pattern, we can just opt out for either glute bridges or your elephant walk. For the glute bridges, I will put it somewhere on this video just to make sure that you have a good demo as we're performing the hinge. So how do you perform the hinge? It's gonna be almost the dead on same as your hamstring stretch, okay? Find that stance that's nice and comfortable for you. Nice soft knee bend, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're gonna think about pulling your legs upwards and pushing your butt back at the same time, like so. When you get into that deep pattern where you feel a nice big stretch in the back of the leg, just reverse that motion, squeeze your glutes. That's a hinge. A lot of people overcomplicate the hinge. Another cue that I like to use, placing your hands in your groin folds. Just make sure that the top of your legs hit here and your stomach hits the top. So just like so. Keep in mind that the knees aren't moving. They're just in one position the whole time. Okay? So we're gonna do the same idea where we're gonna go down for 2, hold for 2, and then come up for 2, trying to get the most range possible. I'm gonna place my hands on my hips. Keeping a very tall spine, reaching with my spine. Last one. Beautiful. Okay, that's the end of this routine. If this is something that you enjoy, something that you want to see more of, just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and perhaps comment. I want to figure out how I can best serve you. So if you comment what you're looking for, I will tailor my videos to whatever you would like to see.